My name is Yvette Bordeaux. Most of you know me at this point. I'm the director of the Master of Environmental Studies and the Master of Science in Applied Geosciences. I don't think anyone here is from the Applied Geosciences program, but I will mention it anyway, just in case someone who watches the recording who couldn't make it today has questions. So I will mention them briefly. I'm going to share a quick slideshow. I got it down to 6 slides, Sally, so maybe 8, I don't know. Whoops, hold on a second, that was not the right one. There we go. All right, so just do one more thing, there we go. All right, so I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the dual degrees in our program, and we have a lot of them. And it's exciting because it gives you an opportunity to diversify your portfolio, add to your resume, get additional connections to other fields, and really connect that back to the environment. So it's pretty exciting. Whoops. Okay, let me start right here. The dual degree programs for Applied Geosciences, there are actually only 2, the Master of Law and the International Environmental Management program, which I'll talk about a little bit in a few minutes. So those are the 2 programs for the MSAG. We don't have a lot of dual degree programs for them because of the strict curriculum. It's really hard to negotiate and get other dual degrees. And also there hasn't been as much interest in dual degrees within that program. If there's anybody who's watching the recording and is interested in additional dual degrees, please reach out to me and we'll talk and see if we can make it happen. All right, so for the rest of you, the Master of Environmental Studies program, we have quite a few dual degree options. So within Wharton, we have the MBA dual degree with MES. In law, we have both the JD and the Master of Law. Okay, the JD, you can become a lawyer when you're done. The Master of Law is just going to give you more knowledge about law. It's not going to be, it's not going to make you a lawyer, okay? But it's going to make you smart about law, environmental law issues. You get to choose a lot of your electives, and you can choose like land use law, environmental law, and things like that from the law school. So those courses will count towards the degree. So that's a really nice one. Medicine, we have the Master of Public Health, and Carol is in that program already, and that's a really exciting one. We've had several students go through that program, and that intersection between health and the environment is so important, so it's a really great combination. First, within social policy and practice, these are the different schools that I'm talking about. So there's Wharton Law, Medicine, Social Policy and Practice. There's a Master of Nonprofit Leadership. And that one is a nice combination with the MES program, because so many of our MES students like to go out and work in nonprofit programs afterwards. And so this gives you an extra credential if you want to go into nonprofit work. Then there's one with the School of Arts and Sciences with FELS. It's called the Master of Public Administration. And that one will help you if you want to go into government afterwards, particularly U.S. government. It's very centric to U.S. government rules and regulations, but certainly can be applied to other countries as well. And that one is fantastic in terms of giving you both government and nonprofit coursework. And the final one that we have that are all official is the International Environmental Management program. That's a 3-degree program where you get the Master of Environmental Studies, the postmaster's degree in environmental management from Mines Tech in France, and then a Master of Science in Environmental Engineering from Tsinghua University in Beijing, China. So that one we had a session on Tuesday about, and we do have a link to that. It was recorded, and so if anyone that's interested, Sally will pop that link into the chat room. It's also available on the Canvas community. If you're interested, you can go there and watch it. But I can answer some basic questions about that afterwards if anyone has any questions. Right. Now, there are 3 new dual degrees that should be signed hopefully by the end of this month, which include 2 in the School of Design, 1 in the Master of City Planning. There's a great intersection between environment and city planning, as you know, land use issues, and also just planning for sprawl and so forth. So there's a lot of great intersections there. And then there's a Master of Landscape Architecture dual degree with the Master of Environmental Studies. Again, planning urban spaces, rural spaces, and so forth, and how do you design for nature, for example, which is a very big component of the School of Design's work. And then finally, we have a dual degree with the veterinarian school, the veterinarian medical doctor degree, and the intersection between environment and animal science is so big right now. They actually have something called One Health program that they're doing in the veterinarian school with the School of Medicine and now with the environment. So it's this intersection between humans, animals, and the environment, and how does that all interplay. And so this dual degree is part of that One Health program. So there's a lot of fantastic courses to take over there, in addition to the veterinary, the standard curriculum for the veterinary school. There's also courses with wildlife management, toxicology, and so forth. So those are the degrees that we currently have available. So there's a lot. So I'm going to give you some quick overviews of what you need to know. Again, feel free to stop me if you have a question or write something in the chat room, whatever works for you. I don't mind being interrupted. So what do you need to know? Timelines. Now, all of you have now gotten into the Master of Environmental Studies program. So at this point, you, like Carol, she's already applied to both at the same time. And that's one way of getting into the dual degree programs. Apply at the same time, get into both, and start in both programs at the same time. The other option is that you can apply to the second program, since you're all in the MES now, and you're thinking, oh, hey, maybe I want to do a dual degree. You can still do that. We do prefer that you try to apply to the other degree by the end of your first year in the MES program. Okay, the reason being is because this is supposed to be interdisciplinary. You're supposed to be able to sort of mix and match your courses and planning. It's not so much, we don't really want you to like, I'm finished with the MES, now I will start the next program, right? We want you to kind of mix back and forth between the two programs, getting into the different cohorts, meeting the different students, and then applying your knowledge from the two programs. So we prefer that you don't just finish up the MES and then apply to something else. We'd like you to say, at least halfway, by the time you're halfway through your MES program, you've applied for the next program, okay? So that you can start in that program in the next year, if that makes sense. Most of our partner programs just have a fall intake. In other words, they don't have a spring start. We have a spring start. So typically you would be applying, say, in December for a start in the following fall. So the dual degree would start in the following fall. So that's the ideal, is that if you can start, we've had some students who have been almost completely done with their program in the MES and apply to and get into another program. We'll work with you to work that out, but I think that you do not get as rich of an experience if you wait till the end to apply to a new program. But sometimes it happens, you just discover this other program all of a sudden, or you realize suddenly that you want to do nonprofit and you didn't realize that when you started. It's totally fine. We'll work with you to make it work. Okay. Double counting of courses. With all of these dual degree programs, one of the advantages, we had a student, I'll just give you a quick example. We had a student who was on a scholarship from the Bill Gates Foundation, and he was doing the MES, and he really wanted to do the JD MES dual degree, but unfortunately his scholarship would not allow him to do that. It would only cover our program. It would not cover the law program. So he had to actually take the programs back to back. So he had to finish the MES before he could start the JD. It was unfortunate because we allow double counting of courses when you do dual degrees. And that's one of the big advantages of doing a dual degree. You say like, well, I could just go get an MBA later. What's the advantage of doing it now? And it's that double counting piece. So in other words, you're going to take 9 courses with us for most of the programs, except for I think Master of Law. You take 9 courses with us. And then the final 3 courses, we have a 12-course program. The final 3 courses are courses from the other program that you double count or bring back into your MES program. And the same with the other program, they will take typically 4 courses from our program and count it towards their program. Okay, so that means that overall you're taking fewer classes, which means it's less time to get both degrees and it's cheaper. right? It's less expensive. So those are two good reasons to do the dual degree rather than do them at separate times. The other one, like I said, again, is that way that you're sort of melding the two programs together as you go along, right? You're learning about the environment, and then the next semester you're learning about the law, and you're starting to see the connections between the two, where that you might not do that as easily if you're just in one program or just in the other program, right? So those are probably the best reasons to do a dual degree. And if you're like, I'm going to get an MBA anyway, why not do it now, right? Get it over with. And like I said, fewer courses, less time to do both degrees. Costs, there's interestingly, costs are sort of weird. So the way the university sets this up is that when you're, you sort of switch back and forth between the schools when you're doing these programs. And so when you're in, say, I'll use the MBA dual degree. So you'll go the first year at Wharton, or one full year at Wharton, and you'll pay Wharton tuition. And any scholarships or aid that they might have for you will go towards that tuition. When you switch over to us, say in the summer, you're just taking courses with us, say in the summer and the fall, you would switch to our tuition rate, and any aid that you would get from loans and so forth would be applied towards that degree. So the costs change as you switch between programs, and some programs cost more than others. And Wharton is probably the most expensive program at Penn. So I think their tuition is something like $8,500 a course. So you would have to pay that tuition when you were at their school, and then pay our tuition when you're at our school. So there's no like even amount, like it's going to cost X amount of dollars to complete this dual degree. It just goes back and forth. So hopefully that makes sense. The only difference to all of what I just said is the law, the JD program. So in the JD program, you have to be in residence at the law school for your entire program. So in other, except for like, say, if you did some classes before you got into it, but once you're in the law program, you have to be in the law program for the whole time. And so for them, what they do is they actually pay us for your courses. So you just pay tuition to the law school, and then they take care of it for you because you have to be in residence with them for 3 years. All right, so that's the only exception. I think the vet school is pretty flexible. You can take summer courses with us with any of the programs. Most of the other programs do not have a summer program, so that works out for getting in some extra courses and so forth. All right, so that is that. And now the next thing is the application process. I know a lot of people have questions about this. When you're ready to apply, so you're all in the MES program right now, so the next application period is probably this fall. For most of the programs, you'll have to check their websites to see when their applications are due. But we can do some sharing of application materials. There are certain things that we can share, like recommendation letters, test scores, things like that. And most of the programs at Penn are now in CollegeNet, CollegeNet. So that means that you already have like a profile set up. So when you go to apply to the other school, stuff is already in there. And then you just email us and say, hey, I would like to use the recommendation letters from my MES towards the MBA, and then we can send those to that school to use in your application. Okay. Now this doesn't really apply to all of you because you're already in the MES, but if someone were to say still be applying, like say they're in the law school and they wanted to apply to us, we can actually take the GMAT if you're applying for the Wharton school, and the LSAT if you're applying for the JD. So obviously that doesn't help you guys at this point, but be aware, you can check with those schools. I think Wharton will now take the GRE in lieu of the GMAT if you're already here at Penn. I think JD, they have to have the LSAT regardless. There's nothing you can do to get around that. And then all the other programs typically either don't require a standardized test or require the GRE. So again, we can share the scores. Okay. Applications, yeah, you just look at the websites to see what their deadlines are. And if you have any questions as you're going through the application process for the other school, just reach out to us and we'll do what we can to help you out, connect you with folks that we know in those other schools. All right, so before I move on from there, does anybody have any questions?
Excuse me. Actually, I do have a question. So I checked the dual degree with the MBA program online, and I didn't see any deadline or what are the required material, and it was saying that referred to MES program for details.
I
So
just had a meeting with them about that, and they're changing their website. Yeah, so you would just go through the normal process for application for the MBA that you would normally do if you were just applying to Wharton and no place else. So if you go to their main website and just see their application there, I can send you the link. I'll just write myself a note to send you the link to the main application website.
that would be fascinating. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just had they have a new director for their dual degree over there, and we just had a meeting with her last week, and she's like, yeah, this website's ridiculous because it just sends you to us, and then you send us to that. It's like you keep going in circles and it doesn't help.
Thank you.
I think that's kind of true for a lot of our dual degrees. We have to get better stuff on the website.
Yeah, I ran into a similar issue with the VMD program. It said to email you about the application process. So
Yeah, and that's just because it's not official yet.
okay,
Yeah, but it should be official. Their dean signed our agreement, and I just got to get my dean to sign it. But yeah, so for the veterinary school, again, you would just apply for any of these programs. You would just apply as though you were just a brand new student. So there's no separate dual degree type application.
Okay.
Typically on the applications, like I know on our application, one of the first questions is, are you applying for a dual degree program? And some of the other schools have that same question at the top of their application. It says, are you applying for, or are you in another program? But other than that, you just apply normally like every other person. You can mention in your essays that you're already in the MES program if you want. That's totally fine. But yeah, you would just apply normally.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, good. Any other questions? Okay, the other thing I just wanted to mention is that if a dual degree seems like a lot, because most of these dual degrees are going to increase your time at Penn by a minimum of 1 year, if not 2 or even 3 years. So like the vet school is going to be 3 years, the law school is going to be 3 years. Wharton adds another 2.5 years to your program, right, beyond the MES. There's another option that you might consider, and that's the certificate programs. And there's quite a few available, and these are just a few that are pretty common for our students. They're available to both MES and MSAG students. 4 of them are, the School of Design has a lot of them, right? And so here are 4 that are most commonly taken by our students. The most popular one among all of our students is the GIS certificate, right? Because that is just a great credential to have on your resume. It's hard, right? It's a lot of work. Anyone who's done GIS before knows the amount of time that it takes, but it is a fantastic credential to have. Another popular one is the land preservation one, which is really great for our resource management folks in particular. And then there's a new one called resilience. So we do have resilience and adaptation concentration within the MES. And this is an additional one. You're going to be taking the same classes for the most part anyway, and you're allowed to double count 3 of those courses from this certificate into your MES program. So you would only have to take 2 more courses to get the certificate. That's true for all the certificates. We'll double count 3 of the courses towards the degree. So you take 12 courses to complete the MES program and take 2 additional courses on average and get a certificate. So that's something to think about. It's like less time and less money, and you still get this really great credential. There's an energy policy one that a bunch of our students have done, very popular for our sustainability students. And then the law school has a law certificate, and I think we have one person, I think this is this person that's doing it right now is the first one we've had do that. It's a relatively new certificate. But typically the certificates are 5 courses, and if you work with your advisors, you can make them double count into the 3 of them count into the MES program. So that's just something to think about. And in addition, if you come across another certificate that's not listed here or not listed on our website, because on our Canvas community, we list these certificates and the information about them. If you come across one that's not listed and you're interested in it, reach out to me and we'll see what we can do. I can reach out and make sure that you're eligible for it. Some certificates are only available to, say, students in that school, like only in the School of Design or only in the School of Law or whatnot. But oftentimes it's not because, oh, they don't want you. It's just they never realized that someone else would want to do it. And I can talk to them and work it out for you so that you can do the certificate as well. So we had someone do a product development one it was a product development with a School of Social Policy and Practice and design combination. And we just had one student do that. And it was challenging for her because she was the first one, but now we have a second person in it and they're doing fine. So we may list that soon. I just want to make sure that it goes smoothly before I list it as a regular certificate. But like I said, there's a lot of opportunities there that you might want to think about if you don't want to invest in the extra time and money of a full dual degree. All right. So those are all the slides I have. Does anybody have any additional questions? I know I threw a lot out there.
I have a question. So if I were to be applying, so I'm thinking about applying to the VMD program, which would start next fall. Like the application is this fall and then it would start next fall.
Right.
So in that case, for me, I'm kind of trying to decide whether or not, like, what do you think there would be any benefit to like taking a year off and then continuing the MES degree? I mean,
yeah, it's a good question because you're like halfway through your program already, right?
Yeah. I mean, I only have actually 5 courses left, so I'm a little more than halfway through.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if that would really make any sense. But
it's a good question. We should talk to Jenny Punt about that.
Okay.
I think that what's the best course of action for you? If you really want to do the dual degree, you could potentially take a semester or a year off and then delay your degree and get some experience maybe in the veterinarian field while you're out. You know, that might be a way to go. Or we can just slow your program down and only take 1 or 2 courses at a time while you're working on your capstone project, which I don't know, that's going to take a while anyway, right?
Yeah. I mean, but I only have 5 courses left, so I kind of thought maybe it's not even really worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Take like 1 course a semester or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's definitely talk about ways to do that, and I'll reach out to Jenny and see if she can, if she has any thoughts about that too.
Okay.
That would be fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is a case where Haley kind of came in a little bit later and realized that she's doing her capstone with veterinarian school and realizing that she now wants to do the dual degree, which she didn't when she came into the program. So we'll see what we can do to work that out for her. All right, any other questions? These programs are fantastic, but they're a lot of work. I think the other thing that I should probably mention is your capstone project. So your capstone project should be related to your dual degree. In other words, if you're doing MBA and MES, you should do an environmental business type project. So maybe sustainability or something like that. If you're doing city planning, it should be related to that. So we try to get you to do something related to the dual degree that you're doing. Okay, and then there are some questions about the multi-masters, and so I didn't mention that too much because we just had a session with Kathy Deschamps on Tuesday, who's the head of the Mean Pre Tech group that basically started the multi-masters degree. But it's called the multi-masters degree in environmental management, and as I mentioned before, you get the 3 degrees when you're done. I'll just throw out a little bit here. So If you're doing the multi-masters, you can still do a certificate. That's absolutely possible. You just have to work out the course sequencing early with your advisor to make sure that that you can get them all in before you leave for China. And then COVID is definitely affecting them this year. They've already decided that the China portion will be online because Beijing, I guess, has seen some spikes in cases again. So they're concerned about bringing students back to campus just as we are. So they're going to be remote for the fall, which means that any students who are in the program right now, we have one student that's doing it this fall. If she wants to do the China portion, it will be online. So she's deciding whether or not to do that. They're hoping to have the France portion open and running as normal in the spring. Now, hopefully by next fall, so if you apply now, right, you'll apply in January of 2021 to start in the fall of 2021. Hopefully by then, things will be back to more of a normal life, right? We don't know how long that's going to take, but we're hoping, as everyone is, as Tsinghua is, that they'll be open and running normally by fall of 2021, and that would be the group that you would be in. So that would be my biggest concern for you. And again, they're coming up with solutions. The remote learning, which is not the same as going to the campus and being with your peers and doing traveling, because they do a lot of traveling around the country. I know a couple times they've gone to Vietnam. When they're in France, they tend to travel around Europe to different sites. So you're missing out on that piece of it if you're not live or like on the campuses. But they're doing what they can to make it a good experience regardless of what's happening with COVID. So, and that, just a quick thing for the application for that. So you get into our program. If you're doing the full 3 degrees, you take 8 courses with us before you leave for China. And when you go to China, we register you for 2 course units here at Penn. So this keeps you active in the system, allows you to get access and hear from us and things like that. Then when you go to France, we do a second 2 units, credit units, that we register you for here at Penn. And then when you go off to your internship, we get the transcripts from both China and from France. We put those grades into those courses that we have put on your transcript, and that fills out your last 4 courses for the program, right? So you take 8 here, you do 2 in China, 2 in France. So now you have 12 courses done, and then your capstone is the project that you do for all the schools, right? It's your internship. I think, where was I going with that? Yeah. Oh, so then there is another option. So if you decide that you do not want to do the China portion, maybe because they're not open, the campus isn't open, it's all remote, and you're just like, yeah, I don't know, that's not really maybe what I wanted. They do have an option to just do the French portion, and in that case, you would do 10 courses with us. And then when you go to France, we would register you for 2. When you're done, we get the transcripts back. Those are your last 2 courses are from France. And then you still do the internship, you still do the capstone, but you're just doing it for Penn and Mines Paris Tech. So those are your options. So, and that's what Mackenzie is thinking about now. Mackenzie Marcotte is in the program for the fall. She's trying to decide if she wants to do China remotely or not. If she doesn't, she'll stay and take 2 courses with us this fall, and then she'll leave for France, hopefully in the spring.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. That's a great program. It's just right now with COVID, it makes it so difficult. Such a shame. All right. Any other questions? Like I said, our city planning program, we have 2 students who are registered for it for the fall, and we just have to get our dean to sign it. That should be any day now. But the 2 students who are in the dual degree already, so they'll be fine.
Looks like you have a question about the certificate program, cost and time.
We typically can work those certificates into your normal 2 years in the program. So if you do a normal 2 years, with some good planning with your advisors, we can get you done in your 2-year time frame. Now, the extra cost is the cost of 2 extra courses. Like I said, we also try to plan it so that 3 of the courses double count towards your MES degree and towards the certificate at the same time. So you're only taking 2 extra courses. So the extra cost to the certificate would be those 2 extra courses. Now, if for some reason you got in there too late, like say you're almost done with your program and you hadn't taken the most of the courses for that certificate. So say you're doing the GIS certificate. So you just found out in your last semester at Penn at the MES program that you want to do that certificate. You may need to stay an extra semester to get all the courses in. And you may not, they might not double count towards the degree because you might have your degree all done, right? So you're like, I only have 2 courses left and I want to do the GIS program. Okay, well now only 2 of those courses can count back towards the MES because you only need 2. And then, you'll have to take 3 extra courses beyond the program, if that makes sense. So it may take you another semester and you may have to pay for 3 extra courses, depending on how things shake out. Again, we try really hard to work with you to make it as economical and the least amount of time as possible for you to get these extras. No
Dr. Bordeaux, has anyone completed or started the Master of Landscape Architecture in conjunction with MES?
Yep, not yet. So we had someone who was interested in it, and she's the one that pushed us to do the dual degree, but it took us so long to get through the process that she graduated from the landscape architecture program.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed because I was like, oh yeah, we're done. And she's like, yeah, sorry, this is my last year. I'm not going to do it now.
Do y'all have any, I saw the information for city planning, just like course and curriculum, like concept, I guess, in terms of like alternating your registration and things like that.
Right.
Has anything like that been developed for MLA?
Yes. And I can share that with you. I'll email that to you.
Awesome.
We also have a dual degree handbook. I think it's on the Canvas site, which has,
but
it
I
doesn't
have that
have
one.
those. It doesn't have
Right,
MLA and MCP, which is Master City Planning, and it doesn't have veterinarian yet, just because we hadn't gotten those added yet. So I will send you that dual info today. Yeah, no problem.
Awesome.
That's a tough program.
Yeah, I imagine.
The studios are brutal. But it's it's solid, and they have their philosophy is based on Ian McHarg's work, so it's designed by nature, which is
I'm reading that book right now.
Yeah.
And I didn't know y'all were working on that to be dual degree. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that one kind of got lost because the student graduated and then we didn't have another student that was interested. So it just sort of sat there, and now we're like, why don't we just push that through because it's all done. It's just needs signatures. So we're going to do that.
Cool.
So that'll be an option as well.
Thanks.
Yep. All right. And again, at any point, if during the application process or once you get into the dual degree, I'm going to sit down with you, and typically we're going to try to work with the other advisor in the other program to get you a plan of how you're going to get all your courses in time to graduate in a timely manner. I think, Carol, we haven't quite gotten together yet. I guess we got together once with Mariah, but she's been so busy since COVID hit. It's been a little strange.
Yeah, I feel like for that, I also have a question because I was assigned to another advisor. I'm just confused. Who should I contact for my dual degree?
Yeah, so for the dual degree, probably me. I think your other advisor was probably Sally Willig.
It's Dr. Hagen.
Oh, okay. All right. I will get that fixed. Yeah, we'll fix that for you. Usually Sally does the MPH dual degree students.
Oh, because I think my concentration in MES is environmental policy.
Oh, okay, that's
so
why.
they switched me to him.
That's right. Okay, yeah, we'll get that sorted out for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem. And again, you can always reach out to me, especially the dual degree stuff can be tricky, and we just want to make sure that you get all your courses in and you can get done on time.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, thanks, Sally. Sally's going to fix that in the system for you. And then again, you can always reach out to me if you have any questions about the dual degree. And Mariah's Mariah Hall is the MPH advisor. So she's, but I think they were just sort of not, they were really struggling with that spring semester. And I'm not sure where they're at now. Because everybody went online all of a sudden in March. It was very stressful. It was stressful for the students. It was stressful for us too. All right, cool. Anybody else have questions? Awesome. Well, if you think of anything after the fact, you can send me an email or Sally Cardy, who's been organizing these info sessions. We'll have the recording link put up in Canvas for you. And again, on Canvas, on the Canvas community, there is a dual degree handbook, which sort of outlines, and with all these dual degrees, there's an outline of how it can be done, but everyone's a little bit different and we can work with you to make it work. And so you don't have to follow exactly what is laid out in the dual degree handbook. It just gives you one way that you can do it. All right, so typically we work with the advisor from the other program, figure out how to get all your courses, which ones will double count, and sort all of that out so that you're in good shape to, we don't want you to have to do an extra semester because you missed a course or something like that. That's not good. All right, good. Well, we'll be having some more info sessions throughout the summer. Feel free to join us. And thanks all for coming today. And we'll be seeing you hopefully soon on campus. All right. All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.